Alright, it's me again, over here, back with another episode. This is like the sixth time that I recorded this one because I kept messing up and using my real name at this spot right here. And then I finally recorded it right, but I forgot to edit the document, and I had the whole video uploaded and everything, and then I realized I have to do it all over again. So here we are. So this is for August 9th, 2018. You finally decide to leave to go pay your phone bill after saying you were about to do so over an hour ago. You blame the fact that it looks like it's about to rain, as usual, and it usually doesn't, but it's really because you allowed yourself to be drawn into the Facebook vortex. I force a small laugh, and then when you finally are on your way out the door and say, "Okay, I'll be back," I respond with, "All right," and then you shout my name. "Lila," you say in a slight shout. I turn around to see what you want. "What?" I ask. "I'm leaving," you say, looking at me plaintively like it just kills you that I don't give a fuck. "Okay, I heard you," I respond, or something to that effect. This is not unusual. I really don't know why you can't just come and go. I'm not going to think you were raptured or fell out the window when I notice you're missing, especially since I know you have somewhere to go today. If I give you the benefit of the doubt, the best I can do is think that you want to make sure that I know you're gone so that I know I have privacy to do whatever it is that I like to do when you aren't here. But that hypothesis is quickly defeated by the fact that you have an absolutely abhorrent habit of finding reasons to return. Getting the mail, bringing up that mail. Why don't you just do that on your way back? Bringing up a copy of Midweek that I never want nor read, or just plain forgetting something. Due to these sneak attacks, I cannot ever be assured of any actually private moment. My thoughts then turn to whether it's just because you need me to care. There's a certain tone about it when you do this that seems to indicate that you realize that this need is unreasonable and that you want me to just accept it and comply, because to actually assert a desire for someone to drop what they are doing and turn to look at you to say goodbye when you leave is completely ludicrous, even when they care about you. I mean, and I would even wager to say, like, it's even worse. This is kind of like the when you do a job like being a graphic designer or an artist or a party planner or something, and then like your friends want you to do it for them for free, that it's like, as my friend, wouldn't you want to support my small business? Right? That it's like, so if you actually give a fuck about me and the fact that I'm like doing something, can't you just leave and go to the bank? Why do you need so much attention all the time? Um, I began to reminisce about my freshman year of college, waiting for friends to get out of class to have lunch together in the dining hall. Friends putting off seeing a new movie until the next day's matinee because I'm working late. Family waiting to head to the family reunion until you've made it back from school for the summer, or even though the festivities have already started. Examples of situations in which other people will put their own enjoyment on hold for the sake of having your company as well. No one will ever do this for you. Likely, no one ever has. Your lack of contact, even with your brothers and sisters, is evidence of this. I have heard you on the phone lamenting to your brother about feeling like you don't have any family at all when you only reached out because you needed money. You don't attend the movie night or bingo in the community room downstairs with your neighbors who are your own age and speed, so to speak. You talk about the other senior citizens in the building with a derogatory tone, but then when it benefits you, you are more than willing to recognize yourself as a senior citizen. You never have anywhere to go to meet someone. You say you belong to a motorcycle club, but you rarely, if ever, participate in activities outside of the home. You claim to be working on court cases, ha, but the only time you ever leave the house for this reason is to appear at a hearing of oral arguments. But the only evidence for any level of participation in either of those activities are the unsubstantiated stories you tell when you return from them. Your only friendly contact with the world is with me and those you communicate with on Facebook. And I have come to realize it is because your level of intelligence and your narcissism don't match. They don't mesh into a tolerable individual, not for the long haul. The pathological lying, the weird behavioral tics, the faulty logic and poor reasoning skills, the tendency towards laziness and empathy. Sometimes I worry about you, but only insofar as your demise would negatively impact me. So I get that's why I centered uh, that paragraph, is because it's kind of this roast of him, and just like the way that he is something that people don't really want to be around too much, right? This is kind of, I'm still in this little hypothesis stage and just kind of, like I said, like kind of hashing through um, some of this with the experience. So this little starred section here. right? Is just like I said, it's about things that like he doesn't really seem to understand where he fits into the bigger scheme of things. And he kind of just keeps trying to wedge his square peg in round holes that he doesn't belong in. Um, and then alienating people when they don't live up to whatever his standard must be. I feel like there was that whole like rage of saying like manage your expectations there for a while until people got absolutely sick of hearing it, right? But this was around that time, and I remember thinking that a lot of like he's the definition of someone who needs to learn how to like manage their expectations when it comes to what people are actually going to care about or how much they're willing to put up with from somebody who wants all of the attention all of the time but doesn't do anything remarkable to attract it without like throwing a fucking tantrum. I'm going to need money for the bus too. I mentioned as you're talking about going to overdraft your account so that you can pay your phone bill. Since you're getting extra money in the process, I want to make sure that you make it count. I was thinking about just getting you a bus pass, you respond. That would be great and really nice, I assert, hoping that you will see the rationality in just springing for a bus pass for the rest of the month instead of paying daily an unknown number of times. That's because if I had a bus pass, I would probably use it almost daily, work or not, to go to the gym and just get the fuck out of this prison tower, I mean apartment. Now, I don't remember what you said next, only that it warranted me pointing out not once, but twice that it doesn't matter when I take the bus. What matters is how often I'm going to take the bus. It also won't matter how often they want me to work since I don't know that right now, I add. And you don't know what your schedule is going to be, you say, literally repeating what I just said. There is an awkward pause. Then you ask if Macy's is open 24 hours. Of course it's not. I don't know if you asked that to save face because you realized how dumb your question was, considering I just asserted that myself. This happens often, too often to be normal, in fact. That's going to be a subject of one of the anecdotes. Or if by not knowing my schedule, you are indicating that you are still stuck on this chronological time thing that literally has absolutely nothing to do with the most cost effective way of me getting to work for the rest of August. So here's the deal, right? If you we have fare capping here now, but back then you either had a bus pass for the full month, right? You paid like whatever it was, $60, and it was good for the month, calendar month, right? Um, or you paid 250 each trip. So it's like if I and you had like 2 hours to transfer. So it's like if I'm going to work, I obviously am going to have to just pay to get there and then pay again to get back. So it doesn't matter what time I'm working. My shift isn't going to be an hour long, right? So but the problem was because it's already, what did I say? It's already August 9th, right? And so by the time I would have been going to the orientation, and because this was supposed to be just a seasonal temporary job anyway, I didn't have any idea how frequently I would be scheduled. So there was no way to know because if it was going to cost $5 a day, you would have to take the bus 12 times in order to make having the bus pass worth it, right? So that's the math that's going on here, right? So if I'm only going to end up working 5 days, it makes more sense to just spend $25 and pay cash for the bus for the rest of August as opposed to spending 60 on a bus pass. But if he had spent 60 on the bus pass, I would have left the house every day and at least like gone to the gym or just go volunteer somewhere or like do something other than sitting around in his space. But the problem there is like he's not going to like that either. So this is what's going on here is just he's not going to want me to have a bus pass because he already suspects if I buy her a bus pass, she's going to want to just leave every day. She's going to, and so because I think kind of there was an undercurrent of him kind of understanding like, and this is going to be important when we get to the end game, right? He understood I don't like him very much, right? He had a sense of this, right? And so because there was a time when I was still working, I had worked at Safeway for over a year, so I had a week of paid vacation, and I took my paid vacation and I got a hotel room in Waikiki for 7 days, and I left him alone for a week. And I remember when I told him that I was going to do that, he was just like, he looked at me like he was kind of like sad about it, and he was just like, but why? Why do you want to do that? And it's just like, so I, obviously, so I could like have some privacy in a room that's air conditioned and like a nice shower with a bathtub and a big old bed, and like, you know what I'm saying, that it's like for a multitude of reasons. But the most important one was just getting away from him for 7 days, right? It's like, I need a vacation from you. I don't need a vacation from slinging coffee at a grocery store. I need a vacation from your ass. And I think he he always kind of understood that I don't actually like him, and it's almost like that was some kind of elephant in the room sort of mystery. But that'll get teased out a little bit more too, I'm sure, as I go through the journals and the anecdotes. So I don't want to harp on that too much. Oh my goodness, where was I? Okay, yeah, so of course Macy's isn't open 24 hours. I don't know if you asked that to save face because you realized how dumb the question was, considering I just asserted that myself. This happens often, too often to be normal, in fact, or if by not knowing my schedule, you were indicating that you are still stuck on this chronological time thing that literally has absolutely nothing to do with the most cost-effective way of getting you to work for the rest of August. The lack of ability to have a conversation of this caliber of sophistication is exactly how people know you're lying about being involved in researching court cases for the state and or individual litigants. People simply do not hold you in great esteem for your intelligence. They just don't. Stupid is stupid, you know what I mean? You once asked while being incapable of filling the role of omniscient observer while watching a movie. More on this problem later. Anyway, yes, I know what you mean conceptually, but I do not know why you cannot apply this concept to your damn self. So, in the course of making comments that were stupid about what was going on in the movie, he looks over and he's like, stupid is stupid, you know? The characters were not doing anything stupid. He just couldn't keep up with the plot. The fucking irony, right? The pot calling the kettle black. And I have to just sit there and smile and nod, like, yeah, oh my God, I know. So, yeah, anyway. Yes, I know what you mean conceptually, but I do not know why you cannot apply this concept to your damn self. Okay, now to finish the bit about my August bus pass. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. It would be more efficient to just spend the $70 for a monthly bus pass now than to find out that I have to take the bus for $5.50 per day starting Monday. Since I'm going to have a gym membership reinstated next Friday, I know that I can and would outuse the bus pass. You return from getting the money from the ATM to tell me that you're going to hold off on getting the bus pass until we know for sure how often I will be working this month. Fine, have it your way, like I have a choice right now. Though I suspect that you have an idea that I want the bus pass so that I can get out and about easier and therefore do it more frequently. You just can't stand letting me off my leash, can you? Okay, that's maybe a bit of a stretch. It actually wasn't. This is the first of many times that you'll see me being charitable to him in the journals when he didn't deserve it. Right? It's like now that I look back on this and I've been disconnected from it long enough that the little spell of compassion has worn off, and I can see through this shit, right? Which this is an example too of why it's so important if you know somebody that's going through a situation that they clearly want to get out of. This is part of why they need help getting out of it. Like, well, why don't you just turn him in yourself? Because I'm caught in the midst of like actually kind of feeling sorry for the guy. This is another thing that will end up coming up later on towards the end game as well. When one of my coworkers at Safeway ended up going through something similar after I left. Um, so anyway, this part here, like I said, yeah, that he decided that he wasn't going to get the bus pass until we know for sure how often I'll be working this month. But by the time we know the answer to that, it would be too late to get the bus pass without having to pay the first day out of pocket for the $5.50. So this was one of those do or die moments where if you're going to just go ahead and buy me the bus pass, you need to just buy the bus pass because if you wait to find out how much I need the bus pass, you're going to end up overspending on the bus pass. So it may be, like I said, it's the problem of he knows that I want the bus pass so that I can just leave and have that freedom. And he doesn't want me to have it. But you do have a tendency to be really weird about me being out of the apartment. You couldn't even let me go to the fucking post office to mail something and come back and use the busted equipment downstairs for an hour without coming down to check on me. Even people in the community room could have told you that I was over there, but I bet you just waved them off and came around the corner anyway to bother me in the middle of a workout. Do you understand anything about personal boundaries at all? Is it actually possible that in all your life, no one has ever just told you the fuck off about yourself? Or do you just ignore what they tell you and ride off into the sunset, remaining the same dumbass, self-unaware little prick you've always been? Whew, that felt good. There will be more to back this up frustration. What the heck? There will be more to back up this frustration as I continue with this memoir. But for now, I think that's good enough. Um, Yeah. So you know how like I mean this is just typical run of the mill fuck around and find out, right? Like you cannot tell me that this person at the age of 72 had never encountered anyone who just told him to fuck off about himself. He has to have had some experience at some point with somebody losing their shit. But I mean maybe not. I don't know. You smoke entirely too goddamn much in the apartment. The toxic smoke from your cheap cigarettes fills the living space. It gags me. Sometimes it's so bad I can't resist tucking my nose inside my shirt collar. I've been awakened by it at 1 a.m., then gagged myself back to sleep, suffocating in my pillow. It's not even allowed in here, and you shouldn't be smoking so much in your poor health. The fact that you care so little about your own well-being translates into not giving a fuck about me either, because if and when you drop dead, I am fucked. Back to the smoking. You have a terrible habit of doing it immediately after coming back up from being outside. Why? Right? This is one thing I could never figure out. This man would go downstairs. I'm going to go down and check the mail. He'd be gone for 30 minutes. He'll come back up. He'll tell me what he was talking to Roger about downstairs or whatever he was doing, that it took him 30 minutes to get the mail. And then he will immediately go in the bathroom to smoke a cigarette. Like, you couldn't have just smoked a cigarette when you were downstairs? What the? It was so irritating. Like, no, you need to come up here and subject me to your fucking secondhand smoke. It was so bizarre. And this, like I said, this it'll get teased out later, but I don't know. I mean, there's this part of me that's like, there's no time like the present, and I should just say it. But it's like, I don't want to say it. But it's like, does he think that the stuff that's going on around is some sort of weird covert stuff, and he's thinking that he's passing me on like secret right, secondhand smoke, right? Secondhand messages. Like he wasn't really downstairs for 30 minutes talking to Roger and getting the mail. He was doing some other dumb shit that he thinks he needs to talk to me about. Like, don't talk about Fight Club. So he comes upstairs and he's trying to quote unquote talk about Fight Club, but I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But there always seemed to be this, like, like I said, there always just seemed to be something going on in the background that he thought I was involved in, or that I knew about, or that I was interested in, that he needed to be hinting to me about or passing me along messages of what people were talking about. And like, I don't care, right? So I swear on every Bible on the planet, if you come home with chili for the hot dogs after I told you I didn't want chili, to which you asked the most irritating thing ever, are you sure? My eyes might just roll out of their sockets. You will inevitably be surprised when I don't want chili, be all okay, like I'm from another planet, and you are deathly confused, and I will secretly be so incredibly pissed off at you that my bed might just burst into flames in the middle of the night during the nightmare where I grill you like the goddamn hot dogs. All right, so this is around too. Like we have hot dogs. Sometimes I actually just wanted hot dogs with mustard and relish. Sometimes he wanted chili dogs. He would always have it in his damn mind that I always would rather have chili cheese dogs instead of just mustard and relish. So every time he wanted hot dogs for dinner, he would pressure me about getting the damn chili, And I would tell, like, I don't want the chili, but if you want it, go ahead and get it. And he would, no, but like, are you sure you don't want it? And I'm like, I'm absolutely fucking positive I don't want the chili, right? But I can't, because the job is being a caregiver for somebody with these issues, you can't ever lose your cool. You have to just always act like everything that they're saying and doing is just okay, right? So I can't ever get him to understand how irritating he's being because part of the job is not being allowed to get irritated with him. So I have to just be irritated in and suffer in silence. And it's like this, and but like I said, it's like, but then you juxtapose that with, you can also tell though that he understands that I don't like him very much, and so it's almost like the more that he was trying to figure out why I didn't like him, the more he was engaging in behaviors that are objectively irritating. Right? Nobody wants to be second guessed. Like if you ask me if I want chili for hot dogs and I say no, that's my answer. I finally did end up saying that to him one day. I finally had to do it and have the intervention. And I sat in it and I was like, look, you really tick me off every time you ask if I'm sure. Like, you'll ask if I want something, I say no. And it's like you pressure me to say yes. And I don't understand what your problem is. If you get up in the morning and you say you're going over to Safeway and you ask me if I want anything and I say no, it's because the answer is no. Please stop asking me if I want something or if I'm sure or one thing or the other, because the answer that I gave you is the answer I gave you. It's the answer because it's the answer, right? And he started doing it more frequently. I swear to God, the only other time I ever had an intervention with him was over how frequently he wanted to have corned beef hash. And I finally had to break the news to him that I actually don't enjoy it very much, and that moving forward, like if he, because he would usually cook it anyway, because he likes it cooked the way he cooks it, and I know this is going to come up at some point in these journals. So, like I said, just wait for it, because when you find out how he cooks this, you're going to be like, what? Um, but because he was cooking it anyway, right? It was like, if you ever want corned beef hash, you just let me know. You can have corned beef hash, and I'll just eat something entirely different. I just won't eat it too. Because, like even once a month was more than too frequent for me. But I was like, maybe like once a month, but like every week, I'm not doing that, right? You know what I mean? There's like, you want this meal too much. So he started mentioning it and wanting it even more frequently, right? It used to be something that maybe he'd want like once every like 3 weeks, right? It was just a little bit too frequent, right? It was like, if you really want this like every 2, 3 weeks, you're gonna have to get used to me being like, you can make it for yourself, but I'm not gonna eat it. Um, he started wanting it like every week, like at least once a week. He would be like, oh, like how about corned beef hash tonight? And it's just like, oh my God. I mean, it's just like, I don't understand how setting boundaries as simple as, I don't like this canned meat meal. I don't understand how setting a boundary that simple can just backfire, right? Just completely fucking backfire. It's like you try to tell somebody, stop second guessing me when I tell you no. And that was, like I said, because I feel like both of these are in that same vein, right? Where it's like that every time I would tell this guy no or that I didn't want something, he would think I was bullshitting. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's the end of this particular day's entry. And so I feel like that's probably good enough for now. But yeah, so moving right along, I also have already uploaded and messed up the order of the anecdote that I may have mentioned in episode 4 or something, that I think because I was supposed to have done the first 2 episodes, or maybe this one, and then the longer anecdote. But now the anecdote is in position number 6, and so we're going to have a few more journals before getting to the anecdote. Um, yeah, anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and record uh, day 5 or chapter 5, whatever you're going to call it. Um, right away so that everything can be caught up and copacetic. All right. Later. Bye.